The newest horror movie from Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, Abigail, finishes with a lot of blood and death. The majority of Abigail's reviews have complimented the horror movie for being enjoyable and fun. Abigail, which stars Melissa Barrera and Dan Stevens among others, concludes with Joey and Frank as the only survivors in a surprising turn of events. Lambert is revealed to be a vampire, having been converted 2 years earlier after working with Frank. By Abigail, Frank chooses to assassinate Lambert instead of working with him to kill Abigail and her father. Initially, Abigail fights off Frank, and Joey is the only two remaining. Joey tries to stop Frank, but he impales her with a spear and then pursues Abigail once more in an attempt to bleed her to death. After Joey successfully extracts herself from the spear, Abigail offers her a deal. If Joey assists her in killing Frank, she would release Joey. Joey consents, but Frank bites her. Despite this, she avoids his mind control because it hasn't yet taken effect. They vanquish Frank after she saves Abigail. When Christophe Lazar shows up, he also lets Joey leave. Why, in Abigail's epilogue, does she allow Joey to live? Because Joey struck a bargain with Abigail that included a pinky promise, something Joey had done towards the beginning of the movie. She is allowed to survive. Not only did Joey pledge to assist Abigail in defeating Frank, but he also saved Abigail's life in the last scene of the horror movie and was the one who showed the ballerina the most compassion during the whole production. When no one else was there, Melissa Barrera's Joey was also very protective of Abigail. It's probable that Abigail realized Joey wanted to attempt to treat her kid well, and that Calb wouldn't have a mother if she murdered Joey. The fact that her own father had grown weary of her and abandoned her already annoyed Abigail, and if at all possible, she didn't want another kid to experience the same feelings. After being transformed into a vampire, Joey had the option to murder both Frank and Abigail, but in a gesture of good faith, she chose to assist the latter instead. Is the father of Abigail Dracula? An explanation of Matthew Good's character throughout the extremely graphic and violent Abigail. Christophe Lazar was referenced several times, but he didn't really appear until the very end. Matthew Good, who plays Abigail's father, almost murders Joey but relents at Abigail's request. Abigail also subtly suggests that the figure is none other than Dracula. Even for people who aren't as familiar with vampire tales, this is because Abigail is essentially a retelling of the famous 1936 film, Dracula's Daughter. Countess Maria Zella, the title heroine of Dracula's Daughter, desires to break free from her father's control. In contrast, Abigail, Dracula's daughter, desires attention from her father. Even if the two stories are not exactly the same, Abigail's father is clearly Bram Stoker's Count Dracula. Given that she is the daughter of a powerful vampire, additionally, while Good only makes an appearance towards the conclusion of Abigail and the producers don't reveal his name in the movie, his arrival and demeanor hint to who he is, explaining Frank's villain turn and his plans for Abigail. Frank unexpectedly turns into a villain at the conclusion of Abigail. Frank, on the other hand, intended to eliminate Abigail by himself and ascend to the position of dominant vampire rather than collaborating with Lambert. Frank most likely believed that he could easily assassinate Christophe Lazar without Abigail getting in the way. By making Joey a vampire, Frank was able to gain support from someone he believed he could control. Even though his retaliation against Abigail ultimately failed, his transformation into a vampire offered him some optimism that he would be able to get revenge on her and her father. The real reason behind Abigail's kidnapping twists. Why she actually captured and wanted to kill everyone. Abigail pretended to be afraid of her kidnappers before confessing that she had orchestrated their kidnapping as retaliation for working against her father. Abigail desired to kill everyone, but this was frequently accomplished unintentionally and covertly. In addition, Abigail desired her father's attention by killing Joey. In the Rat Pack, the dancer thought that if she eliminated enough of his rivals, he would come back and quit making fun of her. Being bored herself, Abigail relished taunting her victims before taking their lives because she had nothing better to do with her time. The complete biographies and true lives of Abigail's Rat Pack presented because of their past with Christophe Lazar. Abigail personally selected the group of friends they referred to as the Rat Pack. The backstories of the other characters are revealed by Abigail, but she withholds the reason for the selection of Dean and Rickles, the first two to pass away. Joey is actually Ana Lua Cruz, a former field medic who lost her job to morphine addiction. She left her kid, Calb, behind and started working as an underground medic until she accidentally nicked Demand's artery near Christophe Lazare. Frank is Adam Barnett, an undercover cop who apprehended Lazare's lieutenants before Abigail assassinated them. After that, Frank felt hollow and turned his back on his family. Terrence Lacroix, also known as Rickles, is a gang member from Montreal who became avaricious and pilfered from Christophe Lazare's subsidiary. And then there's Sammy, also known as Jessica Herney, a hacker who finally stole from another one of Lazare's businesses. Therefore, it was no accident that they all ended up working together to abduct Abigail. How Abigail 2 is set up by Abigail's end at the end of the movie. Joey might have survived, but Abigail and her father are still very much on the loose. Most importantly, it appears that Christophe Lazare and Abigail are getting along even better, which implies that the father-daughter team may collaborate in the future. Even though Abigail let Joey go, she made no guarantees that she would stop murdering people, and if her father joined her, Abigail's reign of terror may end up being an even bloodier massacre. As the lone survivor, Joey may possibly turn into a vampire hunter and pursue Christophe and Abigail, although they stated that Abigail has no design to do that, and that they want a really definitive and satisfying character end. Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, together known as Radio Silence, are amenable to the notion of creating a sequel. Therefore, even though Abigail's ending leaves room for the ballerina to torture her victims one more, a sequel to the horror movie isn't strictly necessary. Though it would be great if Radio Silence eventually did so, if only to find out what Abigail and even Joey might get up to. Thanks for watching, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss out on the latest videos of Movie Recap Pro. Thanks for watching.